the Nick Nocerino Award. That award will be officially given today to somebody. The award is specifically for people who have contributed in a certain way to, let's say, the development of understandings of crystals and crystal skulls. And since it's also called the Nick Nocerino Award, often also have some kind of relationship or support for the Nocerino family. You may understand that such award can only be given by one person, Michelle Nocerino.
Well, here I am back on the stage again, my favorite place to be. But in this case, I'm excited about presenting this award to a dear friend. He's like a family member to myself and my family. And I'm going to tell him that my mom usually says, that he's her favorite. But so I'd like to present this reward, all of the above, to Kirby Seid.
Thanks, sweetie.
Kirby has been, he's known throughout the Crystal Skull community, or Crystal community, and has been very supportive in my process personally, in stepping into this wonderful position of carrying on with Shana Ra. And I speak for myself and my family. We love him, and we're very grateful to him for his support and friendship mostly.
Thank you. Oy. Dang. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and thank you, Michelle. I just want to thank Nick, who I met probably the last 6 or 7 years of his life, and we just hit it off, and he took me into his family. I was at his house almost every week for dinner, and Nick always had this priority, and he had his priorities straight, it seemed to me. People first, family first, relationships, and whenever people came to his door, he would feed them first, and his motto was, feed the body, then the soul. And he would absolutely feed you really well, and he would feed the body really well too. He was a great chef. And his whole family has been like that, and I'm so appreciative. And Chris, his wife, I want to thank her for her unconditional love to me, and her support, and her guidance too. She's got amazing, crazy wisdom to her, and the energy of a mother bear too. She's the protector of the family. And she took me in and protected me in so many ways. And I want to thank Michelle also because, in 2007 when the Crystal Skull movie came out, and the Crystal Skulls had sort of hit pop culture at its apex, Chris began to want Shana Ra to maybe not go out so much because she felt it wasn't safe, that people the attraction of the consensus for it was not a good thing in terms of the real work that was being done with the Crystal Skulls, being too commercialized, etc. And it was Nick's wish that Shana Ra be kept in a relation to the public, that many offers were made to purchase Shana Ra, museums, etc. And he turned them down because he wanted Shana Ra to be available to the public. And so about 2002, 2003, he asked me if I would take Shonara out for him, because at that time no one in his family really wanted to. They were there was just too much commercialism emerging around this to deal with. And when Chris started to pull Shonara back, Michelle stepped up in the family and took the reins. And thank you, Michelle. Shonara would not be here if it weren't for her. And I've watched her emerge, as I watched her grow, and all the things that all the Crystal Skull caretakers say about their growth process Michelle has gone through in spades and very, very quickly. So it's good to be your brother, your friend, your partner, and all this stuff. It's so much fun, so thank you. So I guess I'll just start my talk. What was I going to talk about now? There's so many things that Nick had taught me, not in the classroom sense, but in the way he lived. And I just want to share one thing with you, that he always saw the bigger picture. And Nick always kept a real sense of humor about all this stuff. His philosophy was, you take something to manifest something, to put something in motion, to give power to something, you take it very seriously, but you don't take it too seriously. And that balance is a very delicate balance, because if you take it too seriously, it's too heavy, it's too weighty, and it'll crash on its own weight. If it's not taken seriously enough, there's not enough juice, there's not enough power behind it. And he really taught me that balance of humor and seriousness too, this undercurrent of respect and seriousness and commitment. He also showed me that the bigger picture in this crystal skull scene, in part, is as an introduction to the crystal mineral kingdom. And this is the bigger picture. He considered, in part, crystal skulls to be the ambassadors of the crystal mineral kingdom. And we owe a great debt to this kingdom. The foundations of our civilization, how we manifest, is based on this kingdom. Just in terms of quartz alone, the technological aspects that we've tapped into has created computer chips, resonating devices that heal, optics, lasers, all kinds of things that we use to extend our imagination, to extend our intentions in ways that are quite magical. So this was a big deal for him, that crystal skulls was in part an entryway into the crystal mineral kingdom. And I started back in the mid-'80s. I had a lapidary studio in Emeryville, California, and I started cutting crystals and minerals. And very quickly I came across an ethical dilemma. And the ethical dilemma was I had this life force, this power in my hands. I could feel it. I could only cut for about 2 hours before my body would start to shake. There was so much energy. And it took me 6 months of cutting and then taking a walk or a shower and then coming back before my body would actually translate those energies and ground them and run them. And I realized this was a life form, a life force, a consciousness. And who are we to, so the ethical consideration was who am I, who are we to impose our anthropomorphic view onto this particular kingdom, this particular life form. We cut ashtrays, we cut crystal skulls, we cut all kinds of things out of them, and I wasn't sure about the ethics in this. And my first trip back from Madagascar in the mid-'80s, I stopped off at the Smithsonian Institute and the Natural History Museum. We have the most amazing mineral specimens in the world. And I've been always asking myself this question. And there was this, it was a Monday morning, and there was a large rose quartz boulder in the Natural History Museum, and there was nobody around because it was a Monday morning. So I went to the boulder, and it was calling to me, and I just I jumped over the rope, and I was meditating with it for at least 20 minutes before I got kicked out. But the boulder transmitted something incredible to me. It said, Kirby, you know, it's okay. You can cut us. You can do things with us. We so much want to work with the human kingdom. This is what we want to do. This is our evolutionary imperative to do this. And we're willing to sacrifice our form and in so many ways. Now, that's not to diminish the valuable forms of minerals and crystals and things like that, to just cut them in any which way, but to have respect for that. But the fact that I got this permission from the mineral kingdom to do this was huge. And I also got I got my job assignment, at least one for this lifetime, which is to connect people and crystals together. And I was told that it didn't matter, that I didn't have to come with a methodology, a teaching, or anything. Just put them in people's hands, and the natural resonance of human consciousness and crystal mineral consciousness would inform itself, would integrate itself. And this is really probably the greatest teachings of the mineral kingdom, in that you don't need your head so much, or theories or methodologies. You can certainly use them. And we want to elaborate on them as well. But it's really that connection, that relationship, that to the mineral kingdom, to this particular life form, that will guide you, us, to some sort of evolutionary destiny happening on this planet. Lots of different consciousnesses coming together. We are not alone. There are so many life forms on this planet, in this world, in this cosmos, to connect with. And crystals are like the entry point. They're the communicators. They're the crystal skulls being, again, the ambassadors to that portal. So Nick introduced me to a friend of mine from the Exploratorium in San Francisco. It's an art and science institute, Randall Fonts, and Randall was a lighting expert for many years. And I brought large crystal skulls and big crystal balls to the Exploratorium in Randall's laboratory, and we started lighting them up with all his different effects, which some of which you'll be seeing, which we have here now. We played around for a couple of hours just with these lighting effects. They were totally amazing. And after about 2 hours, Randall sat back and he said, you know, after 30 years of creating lighting effects, I finally discovered the object I was meant to light, the quartz crystal. And I saw that the synergy with light and crystal became yet another bridge, another vehicle to connect human consciousness with crystal mineral consciousness. And so Randall and I, at that point, made a pact to create these lighting effects, put them in a portable box, and make them available to people. And so what Nick did was, when we started making these things, he put Shannara in my hands at that point. This is probably around 2002 or so. And little did I know, I really wasn't into crystal skulls, as many of the guardians will attest at the very beginning. It just hits you. And what he was giving me, and his intent was to, he knew that Shannara would be a big attractor, and his intent was to help me to show the lighting technology in front of audiences. And so that's what we're doing, and that's my intent with this. One of the main things that Randall and I are trying to do is we're trying to awaken what we call the unfamiliar senses, the synesthetic senses, you know, the senses of touch and taste and sight and feeling and hearing, the familiar senses. And beneath those are the underlying senses, the psychic senses, the sense of movement and stillness and balance, sense of warmth and coolness and texture. These are our psychic senses. A sense of light and life. Those of you who are healers in here and meditators you have this perception of light in life. Everything, I have a shamanic background. I've been working for about 30 years with a particular teacher with the heart medicines. And when we go on shamanic journeys, you feel the presence of everything. Everything is alive. The worldview of shamanism is life is in everything. That chair you're sitting in is communicating something to you. It's communicating something about support and balance and foundation. Everything is talking to us, these walls, the floor, the ceiling. And so to open up to these senses, another sense is voice and sound. Everything has a voice or sound to it. And when a shaman journeys into a thing and merges with that thing and asks its name, it creates a sound, there's a vibration, and the shaman interprets that in a word or a phrase, and that's when that name is not just the name of that thing as representational, it is the thing, it's a piece of that thing. Which is really interesting because the shamanic point of view also is, for example, crystal skulls are not just representational. They're not just the representation of the human evolution from connection to the ancestors, connection to the ancient ones who infused the earth with human DNA, to our future. But they are the ancestors. They are the ancient ones. And so in some of the people that I work with, they actually introduce new family members or new relationships to the crystal skulls as a way of, you would introduce your grandmother or grandfather like this. So it's not just representational. Our Western view of things is very representational. We're so symbolic. You know, our money, for example, is representations of representations of representations, and it gets really diluted from the direct experience of the value of the thing. And so shamanic worldview is you really have a direct experience of the thing itself, and that's important. So the technology that we're developing with light and sound, I'll be showing you the holotope later in a few minutes, is really about reawakening these unfamiliar senses so that we can have more direct experience of our world and our reality. Very powerful. The mind is full of information and stuff now. It just keeps creating more buffers and more buffers between ourselves and the reality. And it's these unfamiliar senses that are going to give us that direct experience, give us that direct information from which we can make decisions and choices, and very powerful ones too. So this is part of what we're doing here, our intention with this. We are combining 3 vectors of consciousness here. The vector of light, the vector of ancient quartz crystals, and in this case, the crystal skulls, and the vector of human consciousness. And when you align these 3 things just right, something happens. There's like an explosion of consciousness, an epiphany, a moment of enlightenment, if you will. And in that pursuit of that moment, you have all kinds of information downloads, communication with your guides, unseen friends, your higher self, the friend, the beloved. You have insights into your personal processes, your past life, future possibilities, parallel lifetimes. All these pieces of information emerge from that pursuit of that moment, of that aha moment. So that's what we're after here. And I'm hoping that a lot of you will have glimpses of that as I show you the technology, as I demonstrate it. Let's see. So the 3 vectors of consciousness, I just want to say a little bit about the crystal mineral kingdom, because it's just amazing. Many of you know aspects of these already, that crystals store information. We know how to do this technologically, but shamans did it psychometrically. They were able to imprint psychic impressions into the quartz, and the quartz would hold this information. Shamans would download their information into the quartz crystal, the crystal skull, and pass it on to their apprentices as a way of passing on the mantle of their tradition. They're witnessing devices in this sense. They're reflective. And I'm going to substitute light with consciousness here, because this all happens on a level of physics of light, but light and consciousness are really one and the same. When you project consciousness into a quartz crystal, it will refract that consciousness. It will refract light. It will deconstruct consciousness into its constituent frequencies. That's why you'll see a rainbow when you shine white light into a crystal, and it rainbows in certain fractal patterns. And it's deconstructing that consciousness into its constituent frequencies. So, in the sense of consciousness, when we place our consciousness into the crystal skull, it will refract our consciousness. It will show us alternate realities. It'll show us past lifetimes. It'll show us future possibilities and parallel realities as well. And from that, we can pick and choose more consciously what it is, what timeline we want to exist on. Very important about reality creation. It's reflective. It reflects light. It reflects consciousness. And what it's reflecting is something inside of you that is important. When you have a dream, it's telling you something from your higher consciousness. And this is what crystal skulls and crystals do. They reflect back to you something of import. They're tunative, so you can tune crystals and minerals into certain frequencies that hold certain resonances, that heal, that generate alternate perceptions, that are portals into great creative areas. It gives us access to the dream time, the alpha, theta, delta states, where our seers, where our greatest artists and inventors go to create our culture. They journey into the dream time, the unknown. But what's important is they do their work there and they bring something back. And it's the bringing something back that's important. A lot of people want to go there to escape, to feel better. But it's not about that. It's actually going into these other realms and other places and bringing something back and translating that. That's what the artist does. That's what the inventor does. That's what we're about doing in our lives. And it's being offered to us on a much more mass scale now, not just a few, but the many. So this is happening with the proliferation of crystal skulls and with crystals and minerals and many other types of emergent consciousnesses and techniques. So let's see. So I think I would just like to show you the, oh, okay, we're going to do the holotope. Oh, by the way, this is Amar and this is Shauna Ra. So they're going to be the gatekeepers for the holotope, and the holotope is the vortex. And Yap talked about the importance of a vortex. You know, you can, if you want to get rid of something, throw it in a vortex and it'll absorb it and bring it back into the neutrality of the everything nothing. If you want to create something, put that into the vortex. It'll spin off and amplify, this kind of thing. So I highly recommend during this process you do something like that and take advantage of it. And so the holotope is composed of basically two images that are superimposed on each other. The first is this mandala shape that you see here. And I apologize because I really should have manifested two of these things, one on each side. So at some point, if you guys could get in as close as possible, that would be great to be able to see it, especially on the outer edges. And the mandala shape here is what in mathematics is called the Gaussian polytope E8. It is used to describe the placement of subatomic particles of the atom. So this is the closest rendition picture of the atomic structure. The one particle in particle physics is the one particle from which everything is created. And it's said that as that particle. Okay, yeah, if you would not sit here, and sorry about that. Yes, we will. Okay, we'll move the podium back at some point so people can see. So it's said in particle physics, as that particle emerges from the prime radiant is this energetic field of everything, nothing, that particle moves at infinite speed. It travels in patterns, and it moves at infinite speeds. Therefore, it appears to be everywhere at once. You've heard of the term non-local in physics. That's what's happening. And as it's moving, let's just say it's moving like this, where it's crossing itself creates denser and denser and denser realities till we get to third density reality, which our consciousness is pretty much calibrated to experiencing in our bodies. So that's what this is, the mandala shape. And what Randall did was he painstakingly took the 8 dimensions that's represented here and colored them in different ways, so that when we project the colors onto it, you'll see the different dimensional aspects. And then I'll begin to strobe the lights in beat frequency patterns, so to illuminate those different dimensional aspects, and your mind will put together the 8 dimensions. You'll pop into this multidimensional field. The second image here is the fractal patterns, and the fractal patterns. So the first one is supersymmetry. It's linear math at its apex. The fractal patterns represent nonlinear math, the feminine, when you take simple relationships and you can expand them in infinite ways. That's what fractal patterns are doing. And what will happen is the light will breathe in and out of the mandala and the fractal pattern. You'll see it kind of breathing in and out like that. I recommend that, generally speaking, you look at the center. That's where, and then your peripheral vision will begin to open up, and you'll see the other dimensions like this. And for those of you, if you feel like closing your eyes, you're still going to get energy information, photons of light coming through you, and you'll feel that. The other thing I want to say is my dear friend Bashar has given us a gift today. He's done a 15-minute meditation, and this will be the first time it's ever heard, on the 13 crystal skulls that I'll be playing while we're playing the holotope. And Bashar, for those of you who have never heard of them, they're an extraterrestrial that is channeled through my friend Daryl Anka. They're actually having an event this weekend somewhere in LA. And he couldn't be here, so they gave us this particular meditation. And Bashar is important because they come from a timeline where we make it, where our human species made it. They come from our future, where we've evolved, somehow we've evolved past the adolescence, the adolescent stage of this self-importance, this childhood stage of self-centeredness, into an ego adulthood, where from there we can join other forms of life interdimensionally, in our own planet, and extraterrestrially. Again, we are not alone. We have a great mission fitting in this whole cosmological play of life. And we just have to work on our stuff, and they're waiting for us. So this meditation is dedicated to that mission, and it'll take a few moments for us to set it up and adjust it, so thank you.
All right, good day. We will begin with the idea of a crystal skull meditation. Allow yourselves to become very relaxed. Take a moment to be at ease. Breathe deeply, regularly, in a relaxed and peaceful manner. Allow yourself to begin to let the body relax and let go of all tension, all stresses. Allow the heart to relax and let go of all worries, all stresses. Allow the mind to relax and let go of all concern and all stresses. Imagine the body bathed in a deep, deep red light, warm, relaxing, beautiful. Allow the heart to be bathed in a beautiful emerald light, clearing, soothing, beautiful. Allow the mind to be bathed in a bright blue light, scintillating, energizing, clarifying, crystallizing, beautiful. Allow the breath to carry lights throughout the body. And allow them all to rise up the spine, through all the organs, up the neck, and into the skull that houses the brain that is the receiver of your physical personality. For the crystal skulls were designed and created for the purpose of storing, transmitting, communicating information, of resonating a vibrational frequency designed to bring and download information from the higher mind to the physical mind through the template reality. The crystal skulls are designed to be the template reality in physical form, a blueprint in physical form of energy that is designed to balance the physical and higher minds and allow the physical and higher minds to function as one being, a harmonious whole. Anytime you meditate on a crystal skull, you are allowing your own brain to tap into your own mind, to tap into your own heart, to tap into your own soul, to tap into your own body, to directly tap into the template level reality through a crystalline structure specifically designed to resonate on the level of balance and neutrality between the higher and physical minds. And in that state, and from that state, you can speak to and with and receive from the crystal skulls all manner of information that may be aligned with what you prefer to know. Focus now in your meditative state on the image of the first crystal skull. For there are 13 major skulls, each of which is designed to lock into and resonate in accord with and in harmony with a different aspect of your consciousness, a different aspect of your senses, a different aspect of your connectivity to information and physical reality and frequencies and vibrations of energy and light. And we will use our ancient language to identify each of these in succession. The first, thus then, we will call Cha, the crystal skull Cha, the ancient skull, the first of 13. Created in ancient times as you know them to exist in your linear space-time framework. Carved with light and sound and intention alone, and perfectly reflective and representative, vibrationally and harmonically, of your connection to all levels of consciousness involved in the creation of your physical reality experience. From oversoul down through individual soul, down through higher mind, through template level reality, through the unconscious physical mind, the subconscious physical mind, the conscious physical mind, and down into the automatic mind of individuality, and down into the collective consciousness of your world. And as you focus on the crystal clarity, the purity of the first skull, Cha, feel the vibration of the connection to your world and the connection to the heaven, all balanced within the first skull. Allow the first skull to split into a second skull as well, giving birth, giving rise to a second frequency, a second vibration. We will call in our ancient Ethiopian language the skull Chu. And as you ponder the vibration and feel the vibration of the skull called Chu, you feel a deepening of the first vibration, an anchoring of the first vibration to the idea of the physical harmonics of the universe. That which you know as geometric form, mathematical equation, breaking down into all the template level realities and patterns geometrically that give rise within the prime radiant and the eidolonic field and the tertiary matrix, represented by this third skull. Shimmy, shimmy, the third skull, the tertiary matrix, the vibration that anchors you to physical reality. The first being representative vibrationally, the prime radiant of all that is. The second to the idea of the mathematical construct of the electromagnetic energy of the spirit world, Cha and Chu. And the third, Shimi, to the idea of the anchoring of the eidolonic field to the tertiary matrix, that is the solidification, crystallization into the third density reality of physical reality experience. And the fourth skull splitting off from the three. Path, that shall be the skull of time and timelessness, and the skull of ages, the skull of change. For again, even as we have described the idea that there are the four laws in creation, the first four skulls represent the vibration of those four laws. The first, you exist. The second, the all is one, the one is all. The third, what you put out is what you get back. And the fourth, change. All things change but the first three laws. And the fourth skull is the skull of change. And the fifth skull that splits off from this, Pan. Pan is the skull of humanity. For 5 is the number of humanity and the extensions of your body and the extensions of your hand. 5. Pan. And the skull of humanity expressing itself through the idea of physical reincarnation, physical manifestation. Pan. The skull of mankind. The sixth skull, in our ancient language, Kashimi. For now you express the idea of physicality through reproduction. The sixth skull, the skull of sexual energy and reproduction. And replication of the self. Replication of the fifth skull. For the expansion of mankind. The expansion of human consciousness. Kets, the seventh skull. As you imagine, visualize, communicate, look into the eyes of the seventh skull. Begin to come toward the idea of how humankind expresses synchronicity, in life, in your reality. The beginnings of the inklings and the understanding that all things are connected and expressed as synchronicity in the physical world. QUEST, the connector, the relationship bringer. QUEST, the reflection of synchronicity in your reality. The eighth skull of Ro, the eightfold way, the description of the vibration of the template that allows for your expression to be experienced through what you would call spirituality in physical reality. The connection back to what you call the God, Goddess, all that is. She Munk, the ninth skull, and the expression, the full expression of the idea of your sacredness, the realization of your sacred state, the vibration of pure sacredness, what you call grace, the state of grace. Shimunk, the ninth skull, the expression of grace in your reality. The 10th skull of Seid, the purifier, the pure, clear water that sustains you, the sustainer, and the breath of life, the air and the water that sustain you in life. The oxygen that is the pure vibration of sustenance, the 8th vibration, come into the 10th level to sustain along with the water and the air. Sha, the 11th skull, that which now raises that vibration back up into pure spirit, allows you to reconnect to the idea of the higher mind and explore pure balance in relationship between higher mind through template reality and physical mind. Shu, the 12th skull, that allows for the completion of a cycle, the fullness of being, coming full circle, recognition, realization, awareness, and awakening are all to be experienced within the 12th skull of Shu. And the 13th skull of Saibo, the change, the total change, the shift to parallel reality, the neutrality, the collapse, and the expansion to a new reality, the total change that is Saibo, that takes all 12 skulls, connects to all 12, and allows for the completion of the cycle in the fullness of the shift to a new cycle and a new beginning, to a spiral, an upward spiral, for it is never the same twice. Saibo, the spiral, the upward moving energy that allows you to expand and grow and connect back to the all that is in all the ways that you desire, in all the ways that you prefer, in all the ways that you wish to manifest. The 12 and 13th skull together, tribes of humanity, the tribes of all beings on the planet, the tribes of plant and mineral, all together, expressing connection. Speak to the skull as you look in their eyes, as you imagine in your mind's eye them speaking to you. Choose the skull to give you the information you seek, or choose them all to allow for the download from all levels and all levels of your being and all connections to come into you in whatever manner serves you best for the good of all concerned, so that you may take into your body, into your heart, into your mind, into your soul, all that you need to know to be fully who you desire to be fully who you are, to be fully in the here and now, to be fully at one with all that is. in everything that you do, as an expression, as an aspect, as a reflection of all that is in the physical world. The skulls are there as the stepping stones and the connecting stones and the tones and the vibration to call forth all of these resonances and all these frequencies within the total song of creation that you are, each skull representing another note in the song of creation. Experience the skulls tonally, however you wish. Let them speak to you as you speak to them. They will connect you to whatever you wish. They will be your guides and your guardian, your mentor and your friends, your loved ones, your parents, your brothers and your sisters. They will be your mirrors to reflect your true nature, your true frequency. They will be you in another form. They will be you in all forms. They are you in all dimensions of experience. Crystallize the you prefer to be. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take a deep breath in and let it out. One breath for each skull, 13 times. And as you breathe in, each skull will resonate, tone within you, lock within the crystalline matrix of your multidimensional being, and each skull will become yours to guide you with light and love and intention on your path. Ha'atu. Our unconditional love to you all. Good day.
Thank you. If anyone's interested in having this DVD with an hour and a half lecture on crystal skulls by Bashar, this meditation and another meditation, I have them available at the desk, my table over there. And then tomorrow, if anyone's interested in a more private healing session with the holotope, I'll be doing them tomorrow as well. You can sign up at the table over there. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kirby. Is everybody still here, by the way? Again, I hope that not too many people are moving away. The point is we have still 3